I worked for years in the family business. I helped build it and hold it together. When my brother and his wife joined, they slowly started to take over and attempted to push me out. So I left and started my own company. The first time I walked into the office, I was 19, still in school, still unsure. My uncle handed me a clipboard and said, "You don't get to skip the mailroom, sweetheart." Not even for family. I respected that. It was a local logistics company, warehousing, freight, operations, not flashy, not corporate, but it was solid, built by my grandfather, held together by my dad and uncle. I wanted in. Not because I was born into it, because I earned it. I did everything no one else wanted to do. Scheduling nightmares, payroll, temp onboarding. Sometimes I unloaded trucks when the floor was short, and I listened, learned the way the business thought, the rhythm of where the bottlenecks lived, where the profit margins hid. By 24, I was managing ops on the East Side warehouse. By 26, I'd modernized inventory tracking and cut our loss rate by 19%. My uncle said, "You've got more brains than the rest of us combined." I didn't say it, but I knew. I've got more skin in the game too. The family never gave titles easily. I respected that. They didn't hand out VP tags like candy. You had to bleed a little first, and I did. Weekends, holidays, breakups I barely processed because I was too buried in invoices to grieve them. Then came the expansion. My dad and uncle wanted to branch into third-party logistics, new client base, bigger contracts. I helped build the proposal, helped pitch the first 3 accounts. They landed, they grew, and they had my fingerprints all over them. I didn't ask for a raise. I didn't ask for a title bump. I figured, it'll come. When it's time, it'll come. That's what I told myself. My dad started stepping back around then. Early retirement whispers, golf. Let the kids run it. He didn't mean me. He meant my brother and his wife. They'd just moved back to town, bought a place nearby. Suddenly they were showing up to meetings they used to ignore. I didn't panic. I'd earned my seat. They knew that. She didn't know the business. She knew how to talk about it. That's different. He was charming, friendly, but lazy. I figured they'd fade out when it got real. Then one day, my name was missing from a quarterly report I helped. Right, the numbers were there, the charts I built, the language, copied word for word. The author tag. My brother. He smiled when I brought it up. We're all on the same team, right? I didn't smile back. She started sitting in on vendor calls. Didn't contribute much, mostly watched. Took notes, sometimes chimed in, just trying to get a feel for things, she said. Fair enough. But I noticed when she reworded my proposal and forwarded it from her own email. My brother started showing up to warehouse checks, camera in hand. "I'm building content," he said. "We need more." Visibility? He filmed employees without asking, turned minor errors into performance reels. I pulled him aside. "You can't exploit people for brand presence." He said, "It's just business. You're too sensitive." The newer hires started reporting to her quietly, without a formal org chart change, just a shift in who signed off, who sent the final version, who CC'd whom. I confronted my dad. I thought I was still running ops. He said, "We're trying to spread leadership. You've carried a lot, let them share the load." But they weren't sharing, they were stealing. She brought in a consultant, one of her old friends, corporate, polished. They did a culture audit. Next thing I knew, the old crew was under review, and 3 longtime floor leads were let go to align with new strategic goals. I wasn't told beforehand. I was told to support the rollout. Clients started calling me about mistakes I didn't make, orders misrouted, promises made, deadlines missed. I traced the decisions back. She'd promised things without confirming. Ops could deliver. When I flagged it, she said, "Next time, you should communicate better." He took over the monthly numbers meeting, the one I built, started reading my dashboards, my notes. One slide even had my watermark on it. No one said a word. I vented to my uncle. He frowned, said, "They're ambitious, maybe a little pushy, but your dad wants to see them grow into the business." I said, "I built it." He looked tired. No. But sometimes perception wins over contribution. The holiday card went out that year with "Meet the Leadership Team" on the back. Photos of my dad, my brother, his wife. Me, not included. I stared at the card for 5 minutes before I said anything. Then I tossed it in the trash. I showed up to the office one Monday and my desk had been moved. No heads up, just relocated, smaller space, fewer drawers, less privacy. They told me it was a layout refresh. I knew better. I got a calendar invite labeled Strategy Sync Core Team. I wasn't invited. Someone just forwarded it to me by mistake. That was the moment I knew. They were planning around me. Another client email came in, just following up on a quote I never saw. I checked the system. The quote went out 2 days ago, under her name, based on numbers I had prepped. No CC, no credit. I asked her directly, "Why didn't you loop me in?" She blinked. "I assumed you were too swamped. Figured I'd help." She smiled like she'd done me a favor. I brought it up to my dad. He sighed. "You've got to learn to delegate," I said. "Delegating isn't the same as being erased." He didn't answer. My uncle caught me in the break room that afternoon. Saw. "The quote go out," he said. I nodded. Not the first time. He hesitated, then said quietly, "Keep your eyes open. It's not just her. They've got plans." It was the first time he didn't speak like a neutral party. She pitched a rebrand, new name, new logo, new leadership team image. Guess who didn't make the mock-ups? When I brought it up in the meeting, she said, "We're just testing ideas. Don't take it personally." I looked at my dad. He didn't even flinch. My brother posted a behind-the-scenes video online, showed the warehouse, employees, even the conference room, said, "Proud of what we've built." No mention of me, no credit, just a slick edit that made it look like he'd done it all himself. I brought my uncle lunch, sat in his office and asked, "Am I crazy?" He shook his head. "No, but you might be too loyal." I didn't answer because he wasn't wrong. I got called into a realignment meeting, HR, her, my brother. They said they were shifting my title. No pay cut, just adjusting responsibilities, less authority, no client-facing, more internal ops. They framed it like a relief. "This'll free you up." I didn't say a word. My uncle knocked on my door that night. Not at work, at home. Brought me a folder, printouts, revenue breakdowns. "These are the clients who've stayed because of you. I've been keeping track." I didn't ask why. I just nodded. That weekend, I drove past an old storefront downtown. Vacant, quiet, a little rough. I stopped the car. Took a photo, then I opened a blank note in my phone. Title, Plan B. I rented the space. 6-month lease. Just enough to move quietly, not enough to raise alarms. I told them it was for a community project. They didn't ask questions. They weren't paying attention anymore. My uncle slipped me a flash drive client history. Vendor contacts, my own files, the ones they'd locked me out of. "I backed these up before they changed the permissions," he said. He didn't say what for. He didn't have to. I called 3 clients I trusted. Didn't pitch. Didn't explain. Just checked in. Asked how they were feeling about recent changes. All 3 said the same thing. "It's different. Less efficient, less personal." I said, "Good to know." I spent evenings at the new place. Painting, cleaning, mapping workflow, not dreaming, building. I didn't tell anyone but my uncle. Everyone else thought I was detaching after the title change. They didn't know what detachment actually looks like. She tried to assign me to front desk duty, said they were short-staffed. Said it would help morale. I didn't argue. I just smiled and said, "Sure." That week, I filed my LLC paperwork. My uncle stopped joining their planning meetings, said he was taking a step back. No one fought him on it. They were too busy polishing the new website, the one with their names, and none of the company's original DNA. I used my savings for the essentials: a shipment management system, warehouse insurance, a modest logo, a portable printer, not pretty, not flashy, but functional, and mine. I sent a message to me personal clients. "I'm moving on from the family business. If you'd ever like to work together again, I'd be happy to talk." My uncle came by after closing, brought takeout, sat. on a folding chair. Looked around and said, "This feels more like the original company than what they've turned it into." On my last official day, I cleared out my desk before anyone arrived. No scene, no goodbye speech. Just a note. "Thanks for the opportunity. I wish you the best." And when I walked out the door, I didn't look back once. The first week was quiet. I answered emails, ran shipments, handled phone calls myself. My uncle came by after lunch and helped label outgoing boxes. We didn't say much, just got it done. The second week, my phone rang. It was a client I hadn't reached out to yet. "Heard you started your own thing. You free to talk?" I was. We met for coffee. They signed a contract the next morning. Word started to spread, not in headlines, in hallway conversations. "Did you hear what she's doing?" I thought she left for personal reasons. Honestly, her stuff moves faster now. They'd underestimated how much I was the system. One of the mid-tier clients shifted half their business to me, didn't announce it, just did it. A week later, my brother emailed them asking why projections were down. They didn't reply. My uncle helped rewrite our onboarding template. Said, "Let's make it easier than anything they've ever seen." He never once called it helping you. He called it ours. She sent me a message. "Hope you're doing well. If you ever want to collaborate again, let us know." I didn't respond. Collaboration requires trust. All they'd ever offered me was opportunity they didn't want me to own. 2 of their employees reached out quietly. "If anything ever opens up, let us know." I wasn't hiring yet, but I took their names down because people always remember how you treated them when you thought they'd stay. They started dropping my name in meetings. "Let's make sure this doesn't become another situation like hers." As if I was the crisis, not the consequence. I passed one of their trucks in traffic. New branding, flashy outsourced. But I caught the typo in the slogan on the side, and I smiled, because no one double-checks when they assume they're untouchable. That Friday, I ran the week's totals. Revenue wasn't huge, but it was clean, honest, growing. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anyone. A vendor emailed me, "Just checking. Are you still using the same contacts at the old office?" "We haven't been able to get a straight answer in weeks." I said, "Nope. We've got our own team now." They replied, "Good to hear. It's cleaner." My uncle forwarded me a photo. It was one of our old warehouse managers, in uniform, at my old company, now working part-time somewhere else. "They cut hours," he said. "Budget problems. Quiet ones." My brother posted a video thanking a new client for trusting the family brand. 2 days later, that same client emailed me, said, "You were always the reason I stayed. Ready to move the rest of our business over." I didn't. Gloat. "Just got the paperwork started." She sent another message. "Things have been rocky lately. I think we could really benefit from reconnecting." I deleted it without opening the rest. Reconnecting? I was never the one who left. I started hiring, carefully, quietly. One of them was from the old place. He didn't say much, just shook my hand and said, "Glad to be working somewhere that makes sense again." They tried to rebrand again. New logo, new slogan, all fluff. Nothing fixed the back-end mess they'd created. One of their suppliers posted on LinkedIn, "Consistency matters." They didn't tag anyone. But we knew. My dad finally called, said, "Maybe we all rushed some decisions." I asked, "Are you calling for you or for them?" He paused too long. I said, "Thought so." Their 4th late shipment in 2 months hit the wrong client. That client used to be mine. Now, they're mine again. I caught my uncle watching me from the doorway. "They still think they can fix it," he said. I asked, "Can they?" He shook his head. "They still don't even know what they broke." I looked around my new office. It wasn't fancy, but it was stable, organized, respected, and nothing about it needed fixing. My dad called again, said, "They're struggling, numbers are down, morale's worse." I waited. Then he said, "Would you be open to advising?" "Just part-time." I said no. She emailed me directly, offered consulting opportunities, said, "We know you're busy. but the door's open if you ever want to reconnect. I didn't answer. I forwarded it to my uncle with the subject line, "They're scared." He replied, "Good. My brother showed up at my office. No warning. He looked tired, a little smaller than I remembered. We messed up. That was it. No real apology. Just that." I nodded and said, "You did," then walked him out. A mutual client called. Said the old place was trying to underbid me. Said the pitch was rushed and messy. Asked if I'd price match. I said, "No, but I'll outperform them." They stayed with me. My uncle handed me a folder with new expansion estimates. "You've got the revenue. We could open a second location within the year." I looked around at the office we'd built. "Let's do it." An ex-employee from the high, old business applied. Said, "They're not the same company anymore. It's all posturing now. No leadership." I asked what they were looking for. They said, "Somewhere that actually listens." They sent one last offer, equity board seat, title. Said, "It could be a reset for the family." I stared at the email for a while, then archived it. Not out of anger, just because I wasn't available anymore. At a trade conference, someone asked if I missed the old business. I smiled, said, "I never left the work. I just stopped doing it for people who didn't value it." My uncle raised a glass in the office to quiet exits and louder outcomes. We laughed. We didn't toast the past, we toasted ourselves. I walked past their office a few weeks later. The building looked the same, but smaller somehow, less alive, and I felt nothing. No urge to fix it, no pain. Just the peace that comes with building something they don't get to touch.